For more on this asteroid launch coming up for NASA, let's bring in Dr. Lori Glaze, who leads NASA's planetary science missions and programs. Welcome to the show, Dr. Glaze.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
So the goal of this mission is going to be to deliberately crash a vending machine-sized craft into an asteroid and alter that asteroid's path. Explain why that's so important for life here on Earth.
Exactly. Because there are, as we know, asteroids that have impacted Earth in the past. We see these processes going on in the solar system today, across the solar system, with meteorites that impact Earth. And right now, there are no significant threats. Of the asteroids that we know about, none of them are a significant threat. But what we really want to do here is to test this technique so that in the future, if a potential asteroid ever became a threat, that we would be prepared. We want to test this technique before we actually know there's a problem. So that's why we're doing this test now, and it should help us be better prepared for the future.
So this is like a trial run.
Exactly, a trial run to see if we can, as you said, to slam or ram this, like you say, vending machine-sized spacecraft into an asteroid that's about the size of a football stadium, like a high school football stadium, if you can imagine that, filled with rocks. We're going to ram that vending machine at 15,000 miles an hour.
Well, we'll be watching this launch very closely. The major test really comes in that moment of impact next September, where I understand there will be a stream to watch. Describe what's going to happen and how we'll know if it's a success.
So in about 10 months from now, in September, the spacecraft is going to ram into the asteroid, and it's going to, as it's heading into the asteroid, be taking images right up until the point where it impacts. So we'll be sending those images back to Earth, and when we lose signal, we'll know that that spacecraft has rammed in. In addition, we're carrying a small CubeSat that's going to be taking images of the impact and of any material or debris that gets flown off the asteroid, and so that'll be our information to tell us that we've successfully rammed the spacecraft into this asteroid.
Of course, we are not here to spread doom and gloom, and I do want to reiterate there is no current threat. But can you walk our viewers through what the worst-case scenario might be with an asteroid hitting Earth, what that might look like?
So, as you said, of the asteroids that we know about, there are no significant threats over the next 100 years from any of those asteroids. But an asteroid of about the size of the one we're going to test the DART mission on, the asteroid Dimorphos, it's about the size of a high school football stadium. That size asteroid could actually cause significant damage to a metropolitan area. Say, for example, the New York metropolitan area or the Washington, D.C. metropolitan area. And so asteroids of that size could cause significant damage.
And tell me about the actual craft itself and how it's built for a mission into space.
So this particular spacecraft is built specifically for this mission. It's actually got a fair amount of mass on it, and it has one instrument. It only carries one piece of payload, and that's this camera that's very, very high resolution imager, very high precision camera that we will use the images and process them on board the spacecraft and use special software called SmartNav that will autonomously navigate the spacecraft so that when it comes towards the spacecraft, towards the asteroid, we will target it and impact at about 15,000 miles per hour.
And this is, of course, the first ever spacecraft to not be guided by humans. This is really revolutionary technology. What does this mean for the mission and for NASA going forward?
So this is a really important mission to test this technique. It's part of our overall planetary defense program, where we want to make sure that we are looking for and identifying potentially hazardous asteroids and comets that are out in our solar system. Once we find them, we characterize them. We want to better understand what they're made of and what their orbits are so that we can better assess and predict if they might be hazardous in the future. And so this is a really important part of that program. We also want to test these techniques to help us better prepare to mitigate or protect ourselves if there were a hazardous asteroid in the future.
For all those movie fans who remember Armageddon, humanity discovers an asteroid the size of Texas just 18 days away. While that, of course, is not a realistic scenario outside of Hollywood, what's the kind of lead time that NASA would need to actually successfully stop an asteroid that's heading toward Earth?
That's a really great question. It actually takes a fair bit of time. We need the time, we need years of observing to detect an asteroid. And then once we've detected one, if we're going to successfully mitigate, we need to be able to get the spacecraft launched, if that's the technique we're going to use. And then this type of technique is going to make a very small change in the orbital period, the velocity or the speed of the asteroid, which if you have years in advance or decades in advance, you can make a very tiny change in its speed. And over time, it'll have a big effect. So what we really want to happen is when the asteroid comes and it crosses over Earth's orbit, we want to be out of the way. We haven't arrived yet, or we've already passed when the asteroid passes through our orbit. So we just don't want to be there at the same time the asteroid arrives.
Makes a lot of sense. We so appreciate you breaking it all down for us. Dr. Lori Glaze, NASA Planetary Science Director, overseeing the DART mission. We appreciate your time.
It's my pleasure. Thank you.
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.